Hello and welcome to another episode of The Optimized Show. Thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciate it. I'm David Mammano, your host. The Optimized Show, every Wednesday morning, a great new episode where I am interviewing just really incredible people optimizing their business, their community, their life. Today on the show, I have a great guest and a great friend, Ashley Cross from Hub585. Welcome to the Optimized Show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
We met from the great Mary Whittier.
We did.
Hi, Mary. We have to have her watch this.
Yeah.
Mary is the famous founder locally here in Rochester of the Bavona Childhood Advocacy Center, which does amazing things for the unfortunate occurrences when kids have been abused and et cetera. And so, but she has developed a model now to help these kids that is spread nationwide, right?
Yeah.
And doing incredible things. And now she pulled a Seinfeld, she left on top, right? Built this beautiful thing, left on top, and now she's helping and consulting other great nonprofits like Hub585, and that's how we met. She introduced us.
Yeah. I say Mary is responsible for making a lot of very meaningful connections for me, so you're definitely one of those.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad I met you too.
Yeah.
So before we get into what Hub585 is, Ashley Cross, you are, you are so many great things. You're a mom of four, you're a wife, you're a pastor. You are on the board of Bavona. You are on the board of Causewave with our friend Todd Butler. I'm going to have him on the show too, Todd Butler.
Definitely.
Yep, and doing so many great things for the community. What brought you here? You're not from Rochester.
I'm
what,
not.
What brought you here, and what was the impetus of starting your nonprofit?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Denver, Colorado,
Okay.
and spent 10 years in Tulsa. That's where I went to college, met my husband. We started dating shortly after graduate school, and so what brought me to Rochester was I married a Rochesterian.
Okay.
So
we
that's
love
what,
that.
That's what brought me to Rochester.
Yeah.
But prior to moving to Rochester, I lived in Tulsa for 10 years, started the first girls' home for girls aging out of the foster care system. And so when I came to Rochester, I knew I wanted to continue that work, which is what spearheaded the foundation of the Hub585. But I'm really like third generation into this work. My grandmother actually was a foster parent for 25 years before she retired. My mother was a foster parent for 12 years and still works in that field. And my father is still a foster parent.
Wow.
So I've just kind of grown up around, people who believed in welcoming opening their homes to children in CPS custody.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what got you into this line of business.
Yeah,
So
that's my grandmother.
Yeah.
When I was in elementary school, I used to work. My grandmother was actually the first Black woman to start a child placement agency in Colorado, and it was family ran. My aunts and uncles worked there while they were also fostering at home.
Right.
But I spent most of my summers there answering the phones, taking messages from my grandmother, just watching her, admiring her work and the things that she did in her heart, and just always said, I just think I want to do what my grandma does.
Yeah. And so you grew up with foster kids in your house, it seems like.
Yeah, I have foster brothers.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So you came to Rochester, you married a Rochesterian.
Yeah.
You guys are co-pastors of the church. What's the church?
Glory House International.
Glory House International. And then you started Hub585. Tell us, what is that, and how did you end up just getting it ignited, I guess?
Yeah. So I started the Hub585 in 2018, and since then we've really grown a lot. Over the last 2 years, we've received just a lot of support from local foundations, government officials, as well as just the community, people like you, who have really wrapped around who we are and what we do. We are in the middle of really cool transition, where in the next couple of months we will be releasing our new brand. The more we get into this work and the more we've gotten into it, we've really honed in on our identity. But we are a relationship-centered community, and we really work with system-impacted families to move them from systemic trauma to a place of power and belonging.
Okay. So tell us more about, I would say the vast majority of people do not know about the extent of being, the foster care system, foster kids. I got involved when Mary introduced us because I think the statistic that hit me the most, and I forgot the exact numbers, but that foster kids that, age out of being in a foster home, and it was like an incredibly way too high percentage, either end up dead, in jail, on drugs, homeless, right? And that broke my heart, right? These are young kids. These are, I mean, they age out at what, 18?
Yeah,
Yeah.
18 or 21.
Okay.
Right, so they do have the option to stay in foster care until they're 21.
Yeah.
And I think Monroe County has really strong leadership. We have people that work for CPS that really do what they can. They're good people.
Yeah.
But it's a system
Yeah.
that's overwhelmed, and they
Yeah,
they have way too much on their shoulders, and unfortunately, they're not able to meet all the needs, and they're not able to always give quality services and attention to kids who are highly traumatized. And so we focus a lot on, we make sure that we provide cash assistance to every single young person that ages out of the foster care system in Monroe County. They can receive up to $2,400 just to help them on their transition.
Right.
We just started a new foster home, a community supported foster home specifically for girls that are preparing to age out of foster care.
Okay, so they age out and then they could go to this foster home.
Or they're still in care,
Yeah.
but they're preparing to age out,
Yeah.
right? Because I always think about me, right? At 16 years old, even at 17, preparing to go off to college, I still needed my mother. I still needed advice, and I needed a lot of help.
Absolutely.
Still was not grown.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So even when they turn 18 and sometimes 21 and age out, they're just not ready. They
Yeah.
don't have the life skills. They've been moved around. Average.
I don't think anybody has the life skills, whether you're growing up in a traditional, two-parent family with a lot of security.
Yeah.
It's still tough,
Yeah.
let alone being in the foster care system.
Yeah, but
right?
I have seen kids who have moved around 18 times. Wow. And so it's like, how do you? You're not even settled enough to learn the skills that you need to learn. You're just in survival mode.
Right.
And so we see that a lot with our kids.
Yeah. Are you so you are connecting foster kids with mentors, right?
Yeah.
To help them with just life skills, social skills, et cetera?
Yeah, and more than anything, just so that the kids have a place, a safe place, safe adults.
Right.
So we always tell our mentors, like, you definitely want a goal set. You want to figure out what the kid wants to achieve and help them on that.
Yeah.
But more than anything, just be present.
Yeah.
Answer the phone when they call.
Right.
Show up when you say you're going to show up for them.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to do something, do that.
Right.
Because that even just kind of aids in their healing.
Yeah.
These kids they've been let down by adults in their life, and so we always just talk about the power of hope and the power of belonging. And so if we could just show up for kids and give them those two things, it starts the healing process.
I have to imagine a big part of their success, hopefully if that happens, is education and career.
Yeah.
What are some things that you guys offer with that?
Yeah, so right now we have a really cool partnership with a few different organizations who collectively make up the Hive. That's what we call ourselves. It's a consortium of four or five different nonprofit organizations. And we focus on kids in foster care, teen empowerment. They're amazing. They focus on some of our city kids and surrounding areas. Boys and Girls Club and Compass, Black Male Achieve. So we're all a part of this workforce development consortium.
Yeah.
And so we do things like we have a partnership with like Morgan's Driving School, right, where our young people can start working to get their driver's license, because that aids in them finding a job and keeping a job.
Yeah.
And so we work together. We have different people from different career fields that come in and present on their different options for career paths.
Right.
Because sometimes we'll ask our kids, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they say they don't know. And they really don't know.
Right.
They haven't been exposed to engineering. They haven't been exposed to arts. They haven't been exposed to so many different career pathways.
Right.
And so we at the Hive are working collectively to make sure that high-risk young people have that exposure to different careers.
Right. That's incredible.
And then the support, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have a very high, we call it an ACE score, adverse childhood experiences, right? So if you have a lot of exposure to trauma, that will impact how you show up on the workforce.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to keep a job if you can't heal from your trauma,
right,
and learn the appropriate coping skills.
Yeah.
So we realize that there's a relationship between the two. People have to be able to heal from trauma and have those safe places,
right,
in order to find employment and maintain employment.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, there's just a lot of steps along the way. There's therapy, counseling, leading to education, career. Yeah. And I would imagine this is a lifelong thing, right? I mean, this is childhood trauma is tough to erase, right? So
it is. And we always say, the same way in which someone is harmed is typically the way in which that person would like to be healed, right? So if you're harmed through relationships, broken relationships, the thing that can help heal you is secure and safe relationships.
Yeah.
And that just takes time. It
Yeah,
does take
yeah.
time.
No, absolutely. No, I remember going to a Tony Robbins seminar one time, and the person was afraid of snakes. And the best way to heal that is to be able to pick up a snake, right?
Yeah, yeah. A snake that doesn't bite you, right?
Yeah. Just confront the fear, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
confront the drama. Yeah, very good. Excellent. So it's been, guys, 2018, so you're in your 6th year?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Now,
we say really our 2nd year.
Yeah, okay.
For 6, I mean, nonprofits, we do the paperwork and then we're like, all right, so now what?
Right,
And we
yeah,
were kind
yeah.
of that now what stage for, 4 years or so. So really,
Yeah.
I would say it was around the pandemic
Yeah.
is really when our inaugural program, which is called the Care Portal,
Right.
expanded and got a lot of attention because
Yeah.
CPS involved families were really at crisis during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so we were able to help our partners over at CPS respond
Yeah.
to those, and then from there we just ended
Yeah.
up growing pretty rapidly.
How big is your team?
Oh man, I have 11 staff.
Okay.
In which
Yeah.
8 of them are full-time.
8 full-time, okay. So how do you optimize your workplace? I mean, you have a lot going on, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the mission is huge.
Yeah.
You have, you co-pastor a church, you have 4 kids of your own, 4 daughters.
Yeah.
And I believe you said 3 of them are under the age of 6.
Yeah.
So, and you look pretty healthy and vibrant, so how do you optimize everything here?
Oh man, so if you are at the Hub585 for more than 10 minutes, you're going to hear us talking about hope, right? And so hope it's a belief, it's a cognition, it's a science, it's not a feeling.
Yeah.
And so what we actually do is we utilize the theory of hope to create a hope-centered workplace. And so I always tell my staff, we cannot increase hope in our youth and our families if we are not inherently hopeful.
Right.
And so we utilize the principles of hope.
Yeah.
We utilize the principles of hope. I'm talking to my staff all the time around their goals. What are your goals?
Yeah.
And don't just sell me your professional goals.
Right.
Right. I mean, obviously, we're here to perform well and to produce outcomes. But I want to know: are you spending time with your family? If you say that that's a value of yours and it's something that feeds you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want people to show up to work their best selves, and I realize that doesn't happen just from producing professionally.
Right.
It happens by setting fitness and wellness goals.
Yeah.
Right, and then us creating a space that allows for them to do that and supporting them in that.
Yeah.
For our staff to vacation, like we did a holiday reset, and we closed from December 22nd to January 2nd.
Oh, great.
Right, so we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
said, hey, let's just close.
Yeah.
Make sure that all of our youth and our families have what they need for the holiday.
Right, yeah.
And then you guys go home and reset.
Recalibrate, renew, right?
Spend time reflecting on the year, and come back with your goals for
Right.
the next year, and let's reset.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time reflecting. We spent a lot of time as a team talking about what for us is coming up in the work.
Yeah.
And I work really hard to make sure that my staff feel supported.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good. Where do you see the Hub585, which will have some new announcements by
Yeah.
then, as far as branding goes, et cetera. But where do you see the Hub585 in 5 years?
Oh man, yeah. So one of our strategic priorities for the next couple of years is around advocacy, advocacy that empowers. And we always talk about this upstream approach, right? So once kids come to us, we kind of say it's kind of late. They're already in foster care. They've already been traumatized.
Yeah.
What upstream approaches can we take to stop them from coming into the foster care system in the first
Right.
place? And so we were awarded a grant by the Redlet Horch Foundation to hire a fellow who will, for 2 years, host community design sessions with people with lived experience, as well as community members and local stakeholders, to reimagine a community response to child neglect instead of a government response. And so we will be spending the next 2 years just collecting data, hearing stories, sitting with families who have been separated, right, because of neglect and poverty. And we're going to spend some time learning from them and thinking about what can we do as an organization and as a community to prevent kids from being in contact with Child Protective Services in the first place. So we are looking to get into, well, we're not looking, we are getting into the advocacy space just to really broaden our work and our reach and hopefully, creating some real system change.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you see, and this is the entrepreneur we're talking, I mean, do you see a way to expand what you're doing to different cities with licensing, franchising, whatever you want to call it? I mean, you're doing such incredible work, and I'm sure all cities have these issues, right?
Yeah, that is the goal. I have, as a leader, I have a sometimes bad habit of biting off more than I can chew. So now my goal is just Rochester and Monroe County.
Yeah, no, that's a great, secure the beachhead.
Yes. But we are thinking strategically long term, like how can this be something that's replicated?
Yeah.
But we got to get it right here in Rochester first.
Well, and Rochester is a test community for a lot of companies. They'll test products here first.
Yep.
I remember growing up, McDonald's would test products here first. I think they tried like pizza and salads, and if it worked in Rochester, it would work other places. That was their philosophy. So that's great.
I agree.
That's fantastic. So if people want to get involved and help you raise funds, volunteer, what are some great ways to do that?
Oh man, right now we have several young people who are waiting to be matched with mentors. And so I know that sounds scary, but we will wrap around you, we will support them. But we're looking for mentors. We're always looking for mentors for our young people who are in the foster care system, as well as we have other volunteer opportunities, right? Whether it's social media, helping us get the message out, get the brand, help us create awareness in the community of the needs. We have several active committees that we're always looking for. Marketing and fundraising is one of those committees that I would love to load up with some very passionate and skilled people. And then obviously supporting us financially is always a thing. So people can always go on our website, thehub585.org, to learn a little bit more about some of those opportunities.
That's great. What are some of the events you have coming up that the public can come to and learn more and help out?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on our website, every single month, we have a vision tour. And so I think it's the third Wednesday of each month, where we have free lunch at the Hub585, and community members can go online and register, and then come and meet myself and the team and take a tour of our building and hear stories of impact. And so we do those every single month. And then in a few months, we will be we're gearing up for May, which is National Foster Care Awareness Month. So we're looking at having several local events that continue to draw awareness to the needs.
Yep, and in September, what's the event in September?
September 20th is our Legacy of Hope, which is our annual fundraiser. So September 20th, be on the lookout for that. We will be at the Penthouse again. And hopefully we'll have you getting everybody to open up their wallets.
So y'all know, I was the MC for the cash call.
Yes.
And we exceeded expectations, right?
By far.
All right,
a lot.
Good.
You helped
I'm
us
very
raise a lot
good
of
at
money.
guilting people into giving lots of money.
And it was so good. You did such a good job. So I loved it. I loved it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a nice event. Good meal too.
Yes. That's important. You want to ask people for money, you got to feed them well.
It's funny. People say, why don't you just ask them to give them money without an event? No, you're getting them together. It's a focused venue.
Yeah, and it's not just
too.
about raising money. It's about building community.
Teaching them what you do more and more, digging deeper, and just meeting everybody, meeting great people. So excellent. Last question: mentors. Someone wants to be a mentor. What's involved with being a mentor?
Yeah, so we ask for our mentors. Obviously, they would get trained and go through a background check, and then from there, once they're matched with a young person, the commitment is to reach out to them weekly. Just check on them. That could be through FaceTime. It could be through a phone call. And then see them face to face twice a month.
Right.
See them face to face twice a month.
Yeah, that's great.
We have a partnership now with Berkshire Group Home, and so there are right now like 8 or 9 boys in their home. And so we're making sure that we're trying to get all of those young boys matched with mentors.
Right.
But the great thing about our mentorship program, which I think makes it a little less intimidating, is that it's not one-on-one mentoring.
Yeah.
Right? So you get to do it with a group of people. So I'll give you an example. Myself, my mother, and my husband are one mentorship group for a young boy that's at Berkshire. So it's great because we get to support each other in the journey of mentoring as we're learning. And, you know, it's a little nervous. Teenagers can be scary sometimes, right? And so
sometimes, all the time.
Yeah, so it's nice to have other people to do that with. So if someone comes alone, we will put them in a group.
Yeah.
But we always tell people, just assess your network and see who, 2 to 3 other people that you can say, hey, will you wrap around this young person with me?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So let's leave everybody with how to get in touch. How to get in touch with Hub585 and Ashley Cross. What's the best way?
Visit our website at thehub585.org.
The Hub.
Thehub585.org. Or you can email us at info@thehub585.org.
Okay. And as always, if anybody wants a personal connection to Ashley and her team, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to do that as well. Ashley Cross, this has been fantastic. Thank you
so
for
much.
all the great work you're doing in the world and our community. We're very lucky that you met somebody from Rochester.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your commitment to spreading good news.
Yeah, of course. Want to help you any way I can. So thank you so much. I wish you continued massive success. I know it's going to be there. So.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. And thank you, everybody, for watching another great episode of The Optimize Show. Again, every Wednesday morning, please help spread the love. Go to YouTube, like us, subscribe, share us on your social media, whatever you can do to get these great messages out to more and more people. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and make sure to stay awesome.